Hey everyone, I'm Scooby-Foo, you're here for a review of Cloudstrike, so let's get to it. Cloudstrike is an exotic special ammo sniper acquired from elective difficulty Empire hunts, the ones that have difficulty options like Ordeal Nightfalls. It has the exotic perk Mortal Polarity, which can be summed up as Stormcaller-flavored Dragonfly, and the legendary trait Stormbringer, which summons a storm grenade-like cloud over enemies every 3 rapid precision hits. The exotic perk is pretty self-explanatory, so let's talk about that trait. Every 3 rapid precision hits, Stormbringer will summon a cloud that deals roughly 164% of the base sniper's headshot, proccing twice per mag. But, you know, this thing's a rapid fire frame, hitting all those headshots quickly can be hard. Let's grab a Divinity to make it easier. That's a lot of Stormbringer procs. What is going on here? Well, for some reason, when hitting a Divinity bubble with Cloudstrike, instead of the perk activating on your 3rd and 6th shots, assuming all crits, it will activate on your 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th shots. We'll get into what all that means for DPS of this thing soon, but let's go over the gun without any other external factors first. So, Cloudstrike deals 10,343 damage per headshot at 140 RPM and a mag of 7. It takes 2.57 seconds to empty the magazine, giving us 106,395 damage and 41,399 DPS over 1 mag, counting the 2 Stormbringer procs. Over the full reserves, with 1 reserves mod equipped, Cloudstrike has 27 shots in reserves, just enough to proc Stormbringer twice on each magazine, giving us a total damage of 415,237, and at 15.71 seconds to empty the magazine, we get a DPS of 26,431, above average all around. For comparison, this Ikelos sniper with 4th times the charm and high impact reserves deals 137,914 damage and 32,603 DPS over 1 magazine, and over the full reserves it deals 452,917 damage and 23,838 DPS. Alright, so let's think up some... Hey! Alright, fine, let's talk about the buggy elephant in the room. So, Divinity, you all know how it works. Shoot the beam at an enemy, make a big crit bubble. But, as was mentioned earlier, shooting Cloudstrike at the bubble takes the amount of procs from 2 per mag up to 5 per mag. For some reason. No idea why this happens, and I'm expecting it to get patched, but let's look at the numbers while it's here. So, adjusting the numbers to not include the weaken that Divinity applies so that we have better comparison between Cloudstrike with and without Divinity, it deals 157,396 damage and 61,243 DPS over 1 magazine, and 551,243 damage and 35,088 DPS over the full reserves. These numbers would realistically be 30% higher in-game with the Divinity debuff, so I'll pop those up on screen now. Cool. So let's make some builds for this lightning shooting gun. Aside from generically useful things like Transversive Steps, Heart of Inmost Light, or Celestial Nighthawk, the only exotic that has a somewhat interesting interaction with Cloudstrike would be Mask of Bakris, acquired from elective difficulty Lost Sectors on days where they are offering exotic armor in the head slot. While using a stasis subclass, Mask of Bakris changes your dodge into a shift that partially cloaks you during use, and gives you a 10-second buff afterwards that gives you a 10-second increase to all arc damage and another 10% damage increase to any damage against enemies that are slowed or frozen. An important note is that both of these damage buffs are considered modifiers, and will stack with themselves and things like Weapons of Light or an Empowering Rift. Also, Bungie, please fix the perk description. Oh wait, they are. So, if we're using stasis, then let's set up our abilities, aspects, and fragments. We'll be using Gambler's Dodge so that we get a melee charge back when we use our shift, and Duskfield Grenades so that we can keep an enemy slowed for a longer period of time. Our aspects will be, well, the only 2 that are out right now. Shadow Dive, entirely just for the fragment slots since we don't use stasis crystals in this build, and Winter Shroud for an area slow when we use our shift. We only have 2 fragment slots, so we're going to use Whisper Hedrons for a 25% damage bonus that lasts 10 seconds after freezing an enemy, and Whisper of Durance, which makes both our slows and abilities that linger last longer. For our weapons, we're going to use weapons that can generate Warmind cells, so either the 7th Seraph Officer Revolver or Carbine for kinetic, either works, Cloudstrike, obviously, and the 7th Seraph Saw. All legendary weapons used in this build are currently in the World Drop pool, so I'd suggest dumping your gunsmith materials at Banshee if you need to get them, since he will only give weapons from the World pool. However, any vendor can drop them. For our armor mods, we'll be using Sniper mods where applicable, Finders, Scavengers, Reserves, 3 Warmind cell mods, Rage of the Warmind to increase the damage of our Warmind cells by about 30% and to convert their damage to solar, Wrath of Rasputin, which allows solar splash damage kills to generate Warmind cells, including the damage from our own Warmind cells with Rage of the Warmind, and Global Reach, which increases the radius of our Warmind cell effects. We're also using 2 Charged with Light mods to help with survivability, Protective Light to give us 50% damage protection while at the red section of our health bar, and Taking Charge to generate stacks of Charged with Light for Protective Light. The gameplay loop of this build is using our kinetic and heavy weapons for ad clear, chaining Warmind cells until we come up to an enemy that requires some heavier DPS, at which point we'll switch to Cloudstrike, throw a Duskfield Grenade, and shift to activate the 2 buffs from Mask of Bakris. And if we throw a Shuriken to immediately freeze the enemy, we can gain the 25% buff from Whisper Hedrons as well, which all stack up together to give us a 51.2% damage increase for Cloudstrike, which brings its DPS over one magazine to 62,595 without any Divinity shenanigans at all. If you do have someone using Divinity, though, Cloudstrike can deal 127,857 DPS over one magazine, which is just absolutely silly. So, there's all the numbers and a boss DPS focused build for Cloudstrike. I've got some bullet points for thoughts here. The Divinity bug is probably going to get fixed. It makes the gun absolutely silly right now, but even without it, I think it'll still be a very nice gun, just not absolutely ridiculous in the same way it is with Divinity. You know, for example, it nearly one-phases Taniks, just having 5 people with Cloudstrike and 1 person with Divinity. So, that's probably going to be not a thing soon. For the build's very fun. I certainly enjoy it. I would suggest trying it out if you enjoy using Cloudstrike for, like, Taniks or insert boss DPS here. But enough of that, let's get to the outro. So, that's all. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, be sure to summon a storm over the like and subscribe button, and leave a comment with your thoughts on Cloudstrike. Once again, I'm Scooby Foo. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.